Welcome to Big Truck Talk, where we talk all things trucking. I'm your host, Trucker Rick, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about going from being a company driver to becoming an owner-operator. This is if you're starting off with little to no money and you just got started in your trucking career, and maybe you've been in it for a little while, but you're just looking to take the next step. We'll try to cover a few bases that'll help you to transition from being a company driver to becoming an owner-operator. So if you're interested in this information, go ahead and click that like, click the subscribe, and we'll talk about it. Okay, so first, let me start off by saying that everyone's experience when it comes to their trucking journey is unique to them. What works for one may not work for others. What works for others may not work for one. The information I'm about to give you is my personal opinion about what I would have done if I knew what I know now back when I first started my trucking journey. Look, for most of us, we're starting off with little to no money when we start our trucking journey. And most likely, we don't even know what direction we want to go. But at the end of the day, if you're looking into becoming an owner-operator and you're starting off as a company driver, I suggest that you continue that journey for at least a year. Look, there are a number of reasons why a person should start off with a company. The main one being is that you're going to want to get some experience. It's going to help you in the long run when becoming an owner-operator, but also you just want to know what you're doing when you're out there. It also gives you a moment to become adjusted and acclimated and learning how to be disciplined. And the reason why I use the word discipline is because you're going to have to be disciplined in many facets of your life. First, you're going to have to be disciplined about being on the road. I know a majority of you guys don't want to have to spend so much time of their year in a truck, but if you're serious about this journey of becoming an owner-operator, you're going to have to be disciplined about actually staying out and making money. Because if you're making money, hopefully you're saving money, which is another thing that you're going to have to be disciplined about. Look, I know the majority of us, when we're making more money, we want to go spend that money. You're probably making more money than you was making on your previous job, and you want to have something to show for it. But if you're trying to become an owner-operator, you need to make sure that you're being disciplined about saving that money. Look, I know so many of us, when we get into trucking, we start making good money, we want to go spend that money. We want to go buy new cars, we want to move into nicer places, but I don't think that's a good idea. If you already have a pretty good living situation and you're not spending a lot of money for rent, keep it that way. If you have a car that's running and it's already paid for and you have a low insurance payment, keep it that way. Don't go get a scat pack where you're paying $700-800 a month and then you have to get a high insurance rate and all of these things like that, and then paying $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 for a nicer place, especially if you're trying to become an owner-operator. You're going to need that money. And one of the other keys is when you get home, try not to go splurging. I know a lot of us want to go out. We end up going to clubs. We want to take our friends out, spend money on our girlfriends, and spend money on our family. Try to keep that at a minimum because it's going to take away from you being able to save money. You have to truly be disciplined if you're serious about this journey. So try not to do that. I understand that we're going to do a little bit, but keep it to a minimum. If you're going to spend money on anything, the best thing for you to spend your money on is your credit. If you have a credit history that is not looking so good and you have things on your credit that you need to get cleared off, use that money for that. Cleaning up your credit, start to build credit with credit cards and making sure that you manage those credit cards, because that is going to help you in the long run when it comes to becoming an owner-operator. With that being said, there are 52 weeks in a year, and for the majority of us, we're probably going to end up taking about 3 months worth of time off work when it comes through the course of that year. That leaves you 40 weeks to try to make as much money as you can. Now, if you're in that range of making $800 to $1,200 a week, we'll throw it in the middle and say that's $1,000 a week, and you times that by 40. That's $40,000 in a year that you should be able to save. Now, I know the majority of us is not going to save that. We probably already have other things going on that's going to require us to have to spend money out, but try to keep your spending to a minimum and keep as much of that $40,000 as you can. So with that being said, I will hope that a person is able to save somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 at the end of that first year of company driving. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of money, and you probably want to take that money and go ahead and buy your own truck, but I wouldn't suggest that you do that just yet as well. Look, this next step, I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash about, but I still think that it's a good idea, and I'm going to explain to you why. Lease purchase operating. Now, the majority of drivers will tell you that lease purchase operating is a horrible idea. You should never do it. It's a ripoff. You'll never end up owning that truck. And they're telling you the truth. That's without a doubt. I don't suggest that a person ever gets into a lease purchase with the idea that they're going to actually own that truck at the end. For me, I look at a lease purchase as a tool. It is a tool for you to be able to increase your income, number one, and to number two, gain the experience that you're going to need when it comes to becoming an owner operator. Look, operating a truck, it is a lot different from being a company driver. You have a lot more responsibilities, and you're going to need to know how to manage those responsibilities. When it comes to your truck payment, your fuel costs, your insurance costs, maintenance costs, you're going to need to know how to manage all of those things. So a lease purchase is actually a good opportunity for you to get your feet wet and learn what it's like to actually own a truck. But like I said, it also is a great opportunity for you to accelerate your savings. So if you're going to get into a lease purchase, use it as a tool. Do not use it thinking that you're going to end up owning that truck, but use it as the tool that it can be. Make sure that that lease purchase is a walk-away lease. And I do not suggest that a person go more than a year. I say you should go between 6 months and a year of being a lease purchase operator. And the reason why I say a year is a good idea is because when it comes to filing your taxes, you're going to need to know that you know how to put your money aside and be able to pay those taxes at the end of the year. Because if you're a lease purchase operator, most likely you're a 1099 employee and you're going to be responsible for paying those taxes. So while you're going to be making more money, you're going to need to make sure that you are setting aside money so that you can pay those taxes at the end of the year. Because as we all know, Uncle Sam don't play, and you don't want to be in a bad situation when it comes to transitioning from being a lease purchase operator to actually becoming an owner. So speaking of becoming an owner, hopefully you've been saving your money. And for me, I suggest that if you've been saving your money well and you're ready to go ahead and buy your truck, once you find out what the total cost of your truck is, that means the total cost of the actual truck, the taxes, warranties, and any other costs that are associated with buying that truck, I suggest that you put down half of that amount on your truck. The reason being is that you're going to want to make sure you keep your payments low. If you can keep your payments low, that's less overhead, and that gives you the ability to be more flexible when it comes to taking your home time. There are three main variables that you're going to have to make sure you keep track of so that you can be more flexible when it comes to taking home time and not having to be dedicated to the road. That is making sure that you keep a low truck payment, knowing how to manage fuel, and whatever your insurance costs are going to be. Now, the insurance thing isn't as flexible as the other two, but it's still manageable. So once you've bought your truck, now you have to put your truck to work. So when you're an owner, there are really two things that you have to understand. There's a difference between being a lease operator and an owner operator. Because as a lease operator, you're able to lease your truck to a company that already has a DOT number, MC numbers, and they take on the risk of having to pay for the cargo insurance, the IFTA, and setting up your ELDs. So all you have to do is really throw their numbers on the side of your truck, figure out whatever their system is, and start booking your loads and make your money. And most likely they'll take some type of a percentage cut out of your settlements at the end of each week, and then you get the rest of the money that's available. So they'll already be setting up the fuel cards, everything. So you'll still be running your truck, but your truck will be signed on with them under their authority. This is good in so many ways for guys who don't want to take on the responsibility of being a true owner operator and having to pay the other exorbitant costs of actually having to run their own company. Now, the other way is actually being an owner operator. This means that you have your own authority. You have a DOT number, a company name, an MC number. You pay for the cargo insurance. You pay for the IFTA taxes. You pay for everything. Now, the good thing about being an owner-operator is you don't have to cut anybody in. Whereas being a lease operator, in most cases, they're going to be taking somewhere between 10 to 35% of your money. It just depends on the company, and it depends on the way that their lease contract is set up. That's where you're going to have to do your homework and figure out what actually works for you. But as an owner-operator, you don't have to cut anybody in. All you have to do is start building your relationship with brokers, agents, and companies and start running your own freight. You're going to have your own trailer, and right now the cost of trailers is pretty high, but you can also run your truck as what they call power only, where you only provide the actual tractor and they'll have the trailers. That's where you're going to have to actually, like I said, do your research and figure out what actually works best for you in your situation. Now, if you're going to go the route of being a lease operator, I suggest that you go with a company that either says they're 100% employee owned or 100% owner operator. Look, if you decide to go ahead and lease your truck to a mega carrier, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it's a good idea. The reason being is mega carriers and many other companies that do lease purchases, they have company drivers, they have people that are doing lease purchases, and then they have you who is doing a lease operation. And look, they're in the business making money. So what that says to me is if they have a load that's paying $6 to $12 a mile, the first thing they're going to try to do is make the most money off of it. And what makes them the most money is by sending it to the company driver. Now, what makes them the second most money is by sending it to the lease purchase operator. They make the least amount of money by sending it to you as a lease operator who wants the bigger chunk of the cut of the money. So they're not incentivized to make sure that they give you good loads and keep you rolling that in a way that's going to be more profitable to you and your business. You could be selling yourself short on a lot of money if you decide to lease your truck to a mega carrier. But like I said, you should always do your own research and find out what works best for you. Well, with that being said, that is my suggestions on the way that a person can go from being a company driver to becoming an owner-operator. And like I end all of my videos, I suggest that you always do your own research, check it out, figure out what works best for you, because what works best for you might not be best for me, and what works best for me might not be best for you. So with all that being said, thank you for rocking with me. And if you have any questions or comments, or even any suggestions for videos you would like for me to cover, drop them in the comment section below and we'll talk about it.